Welcome to the weekly update, Israel and Christians Today. It's Friday, the 17th of October, 2025. All of the living hostages in the Gaza Strip have been released, but the war is far from over. Finally, after 2 harrowing years, on Monday this week, 20 living Israeli hostages were released from the hell of Gaza. They had been held in captivity under horrific conditions since the invasion by Israel by Hamas on the 7th of October 2023, so exactly 2 years ago. Tragically, many hostages have not survived the ordeal. Under the 20-point peace agreement announced a week before by the United States, Hamas agreed to return the bodies of all the remaining deceased hostages. So far, it has only returned 9 of the estimated 28 deceased hostages. Israel said Thursday would increase pressure on Hamas to return the remaining bodies of deceased hostages, with a task force reportedly already having entered Gaza for that purpose. The release of the hostages was the result of the remarkable peace agreement brokered by President Trump and his team, especially Jared Kushner and his right-hand man Witkoff, and endorsed by a number of Arab and European states. On the 13th of October, Trump posed with the leaders of over 35 nations as they gathered in Egypt in support of the peace plan. This included Turkish President Erdogan and Qatar's leader Emir Hamad Al Thani. Now, whether the agreement will lead to peace is, of course, highly questionable and doubtful. The deal requires Hamas to demilitarize to make way for an alternative government. Many commentators point to the fact that Hamas has no intention of handing over its weapons, but on the contrary is using the ceasefire to regroup. Indeed, rather than giving up their weapons, the past days have shown that Hamas has launched a brutal campaign to reassert its control over the parts of the Strip that it holds, including the heart of Gaza City. This has included ruthless suppression of dissent, leading to intense firefights with armed Gazan clans and a wave of executions. Journalist Yaakov Lapin at JNS writes that the terror group's actions signal an explicit rejection of the deal's demilitarization clauses and the notion of a future governance arrangement that is free of Hamas influence. Greg Roman at Middle East Forum writes that the partial destruction of Hamas's military infrastructure has created what should be a unique opportunity for fundamental governance restructuring. However, as the American brokered ceasefire demonstrates, Hamas has survived as an organizational entity despite military degradation, retaining approximately 10 to 15% of its rocket arsenal, maintaining its external leadership in Doha, in Qatar, and preserving its military command structure. The organization's recruitment of 15,000 new fighters during the war, according to U.S. intelligence estimates, means it enters this transition period with renewed human resources eager to demonstrate commitment to the cause. Moreover, the involvement of Turkey and Qatar is problematic. As Arab-Israeli journalist Khaled Abu Tuama notes, it's laughable and dangerous to assume that under their current rulers, Qatar and Turkey, as well as Iran, would ever play a positive and constructive role in assuring peace and stability in the Middle East. These 3 regimes have always been on the side of the Muslim Brotherhood organization and several Islamist terror groups, including Islamic State, Al-Qaeda, Hamas, Palestinian Islamic Jihad, and Hezbollah. So this week, as we conclude the update, we want to encourage you to give thanks to the Lord for the return of the 20 living hostages, and to pray for healing and recovery now that they have returned to their families. We encourage you to pray also that the bodies of the remaining hostages will be found and released so that they can have a dignified funeral. Pray for the families of the hostages and of all those who have died in this conflict. Let us pray that the people of Gaza will be freed from the culture of death that they are living under. Pray for the coming of the Prince of Peace, who alone can bring true shalom. So thank you for listening to this week's weekly update. We wish you a blessed weekend and look forward to seeing you next week. Greetings and blessings. Bye-bye. Shalom.